Kevin, are we ready? Okay. Good evening, everybody. It's a little bit after 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome you to the January 10th Governing Board meeting, Tucson Unified School District. Happy New Year. I hope everybody had a wonderful break and was restful and fun and all those good things that a new end of the year brings and a new year happens. So with that, I'd like to do roll call. Ms. Pena?
Ms. Ekstrom? Here. Ms. Luna Rose?
Here.
Mr. Romero?
Here. Whoa.
Dr. Shaw?
Here.
Ms. Shaw?
Here.
All right, thank you. And I need you emailed me the land acknowledgement, right? Yes, you did. Oh, there it is. All right, we're going to do the land acknowledgement statement. I will be reading it this evening. On behalf of the Governing Board of the Tucson Unified School District, I, Natalie Luna Rose, acknowledge that the schools, buildings, and facilities of the Tucson Unified School District reside on the ancestral homeland of the Tana Atham Nation and the federally recognized tribal land of the Pascua Yaqui tribe. Okay, and before we get into the Pledge of Allegiance, immediately following the Pledge of Allegiance, we are going to have a moment of silence for a former TUSD Governing Board member, Ms. Gloria Copeland. She unexpectedly passed away during the holiday season. Our thoughts and prayers to her family. And she was the first African-American board member from 1995 to 99. So please remember, after the pledge, we will be giving a moment of silence. On January 24th, our next board meeting, we will be doing a longer memorial that Dr. Trujillo will be leading at that time. Okay, so now we are going to go to the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, actually before we have a student that's going to read the pledge. So I would like to call up Zoe Gallego. All right, Zoe. Zoe is a second grader at Lineweaver Elementary. Her interest is that she's a proud student of Lineweaver. She enjoys OMA, which is Opening Minds Through the Arts, a wonderful program here in TUSD, and PE, which you don't hear very much of. So good for you. All of us could probably do a little bit more PE. Zoe is currently participating in soccer club and is in the choir, and she is also the daughter of our new governing board member, Jennifer Ekstrom. And anytime you want to start.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you for that moment of silence for Ms. Copeland. Now on to agenda adjustments. Dr. Trujillo.
Board Clerk Luna Rose, Happy New Year to you and all of our board members and all of us gathered here today for our first governing board meeting of the year. We have no agenda adjustments to recommend at this time.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we're going to oath of office. And I do believe, how are we doing this? Are we having them come up front to do the oath? Yeah? Okay, so Ms. Ekstrom and Mr. Romero, if you want to go ahead. And who is going to be swearing them in? And I guess we can go in alphabetical order. So Ms. Ekstrom first.
Okay. I know. It's weird to come back in. They're like, what are you doing back here? Like, I know. My name's Adelita Grijalva, the chair of the Pima County Board of Supervisors, and I'm very proud to be swearing you in today, Jennifer. Raise your right hand, yeah. I, Jennifer Ekstrom, do solemnly swear
I, Jennifer Ekstrom, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and defend them against all enemies,
and defend them against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
of the Governing Board for Tucson Unified School District Number 1,
of the Governing Board of Tucson Unified School District Number 1,
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And congratulations, Ms. Ekstrom. Mr. Romero.
Hi, my name is Ed Ackerley, and I'm honored to give you the oath of office. I, Val Romero,
I, Val Romero,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and defend them against all enemies,
and defend them against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
of the Governing Board for Tucson Unified School District Number 1,
of the Governing Board for the Tucson Unified School District Number 1,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Val.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. And congratulations, Mr. Romero. Okay. And if, okay, next on to action items. Election of officers. The first is Office of President for the 2023 calendar year. And I would like to nominate Dr. Ravi Shah for president for this upcoming year.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a second. Any discussion? Okay, all of those in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Dr. Shaw, congratulations, you are now president. So I will be turning this over to you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Luna Rose. And next on our agenda, item 3.2, election of officers, office of the clerk for the 23 calendar year. Are there any nominations?
Dr. Ravi, I would like to nominate Ms. Luna Rose for the position of clerk.
All right, nomination for Ms. Luna Rose, and I'll second that nomination. Any other nominations?
Since Ms. Luna Rose already served as clerk, I would like to nominate Mr. Val Romero.
Hi. So as much as I would like to stay clerk, because I have enjoyed the position, I also don't want to give everybody the opportunity to become clerk. So I am fine either way that my colleagues would prefer.
All right, so I'll second the nomination for Mr. Romero for our clerk, and Ms. Luna Rose, you're withdrawing your nomination?
Um, Actually, no, I don't want to withdraw my nomination, so I guess we can go through the vote for him first.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote then. Is there any discussion before we go to a roll call vote? Ms. Shaw?
I don't think I have anything to say. I just feel like, we should give one of the new board members an opportunity.
Okay. You know what, Dr. Shaw, I will withdraw my, from the vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Ms. Luna Rose withdraws her nomination for clerk. And so we can hold off on a roll call and just all in favor for Mr. Romero for clerk, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
All right. Mr. Romero, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to agenda item number 4, call to the audience. And actually, Mr. Romero, you're, as clerk, will run the call to the audience.
Oh.
Do we have the script and everything in place for that?
So I'll show you how this goes.
Okay. Oh, no.
Okay, so you're going to read all of this, and then you're going to go in order. And these are the ones that came in for,
Okay.
and then these are the ones that came in as people wanted.
Okay, so what do I start with these first or start with these
So
first?
you can start with these first.
Got
You
it.
Go to the yellow.
Perfect.
And you just read the name. You don't have to read what they're talking
Got
about,
it.
Just read them.
Perfect. All right, public participation at board meetings. Members of the public may speak during the call of the audience. The governing board president shall be responsible for recognizing speakers and maintaining order where it may be appropriate. Those who speak in person or want to have their comments read may email or call the board office or complete a request to address the board form before the meeting. The speaker must state their full name, the topic prior to addressing the board. Speakers are encouraged to be brief with a maximum time of 3 minutes. If there are documents for the board, please give them to the board office staff and they will ensure each board member receives a copy. Those attending the meeting and are speaking before the board shall observe rules of good conduct. Speakers shall also refrain from inappropriate or slanderous remarks. And because TUSD serves students from preschool through high school, speakers should be aware there may be children present and listening. At the end of the call of the audience, the governing board president will ask if there's any board member that wishes to respond, criticisms, wish to ask staff to review a matter, or wish to ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. No more than 2 members may address each topic. Contents of this card are public information. All right, so up first we have Pilar Ruiz.
Good evening. My name is Pilar Reese. I'm a taxpayer in Tucson Unified School District and a alumni of TUSD, as well as parent of a daughter who's graduated from here. So I'd like to start by congratulating Mr. Romero on being elected to the board. I know that your business background and dedication to improving both the lives of students and the community will benefit TUSD. I had hoped this year and this new board would be able to okay, I'll say I still hope, will think independently and release their loyalty to past members and redirect their loyalty to the students and community and work to make TUSD better. Remember that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I hope that the era of board bullying is over and that we can practice civility, whether we agree with each other or not. And I was hoping tonight wouldn't start with hiccups, but it did. I hope that you'll each also be willing to meet with, listen to respectfully with everyone in the community, even if you don't agree with them, and even if you do not support them politically. As you serve everybody, not just those that you agree with. Please practice principles before personalities. And remember that you are an example to the students of TUSD on how to get along with others. I'd also like to publicly state my condolences to Gloria Copeland's family. She not only served on the board, but she was an advocate to TUSD for the students for years and years. And she would come up here and talk to you guys, and you guys could have learned a lot from her had you been willing to, really sit down and listen with her. Also, as seen by the example of all the incidents at Rincon, and particularly in 2022, it might be a good time to revisit the idea of SROs. Tonight, we don't have very many here, but we still have more here than we do have serving in high schools. So it might be a good time to reassess that. And let's make 2023 a little bit better than the last couple of eras of TUSD's declining enrollment, financial mismanagement, lack of transparency, infighting amongst the board. Let's make this a better era. Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Regina McLaren.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Regina McLaren. I am a parent of a student at the Catalina Online Learning Environment, Cole. I am also a member of the site council for that school. I want to read off an email that Dr. Andy Marafino has sent to your organization highlighting issues that we have with the current drop policy for the Cole students. We have reached an impasse with Cole's administration regarding student attendance and grading policies. Therefore, mediation assistance from TUSD's Employment Relations Department and the Tucson Education Association is subsequently necessary. Specifically, during the current school year, Cole's administration implemented policies that disenfranchise several hundred students of their legal right to a public education by withdrawing them from assigned courses without due process and concurrence from the certified teachers of record. Cole's school council generally agrees that decisions regarding student grades and withdrawals are the legal responsibility of Cole's certified teachers of record and not administrators. In other words, Cole's certified teachers of record should be the final arbiters for decisions regarding student grades and withdrawals. Although Cole's school council has attempted to resolve this dilemma collaboratively with Cole's administration through a shared decision-making process, our efforts have not been reciprocated. The consequences of this impasse has resulted in serious breaches, either intentional or unintentional, of the following. Number one, Title 20 of the U.S. Code 1703, unlawful practices. Denial of equal education opportunity. Number two, Arizona Revised Statute 15, Tac 701.01 echo, certified teacher of record determines student grades. Number three, Arizona Revised Statute 15, Tac 802, right to free public education. Number four, Arizona Revised Statute 15, Tac 351, school council duties and responsibilities. Number five, TUSD Governing Board Policy, Charlie Foxtrot Charlie, school council duties and responsibilities. Number six, TUSD Governing Board Policy, Bravo Delta Foxtrot Alpha, stakeholder input and advisory. Number seven, TUSD Governing Board Policy, India Kilo Alpha, grading and assessment procedures. Number 8, TUSD Regulation, India Kilo Alpha TAC Romeo, grading and assessment systems. Number 9, TUSD Governing Board Policy, Juliet Hotel, student absences and excuses. And number 10, TEA-TUSD Consensus Agreement, Article 33, shared decision making. The above federal and state statutes, as well as TUSD governing board policies and regulations and TUSD employee agreements, have all been breached intentionally or unintentionally in various ways when evaluating students as prescribed by Cole's administration.
Mr. Gina,
TUSD exposed
we're out
vicarious
of time.
liability due to Cole's policies. Am I out of time?
Yeah, we're out of time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's okay. Thank you.
But, yeah, that's our huge issue.
All right, next on the list, Dale McLaren.
Is this thing on? Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am, full name, oh gosh, I am Dale Eugene McLaren II, a senior at Catalina Online Learning Experience. and of course a student. I'm here to talk a little more about the student experience of this drop policy. Not the legal consequences of it, which, as you already know, can result in lawsuits. There are hundreds of students that have been dropped over Christmas break because of a 10-day drop policy. This drop policy does not care about holidays or weekends. This means the 14-day Christmas break, if a student did not log in during that time, they have been booted from all courses and in some cases are not even able to log in, as was with my case. This also does not include individuals with 504 plans, like myself, as I have ADHD and autism. To say that this is not good would be an understatement, as this is disenfranchising pretty much the entire student base of Cole, and as such making their education less secure. This is evidently not good in any way, shape, or form. As such, it should be changed or removed outright. Now my suggested change is to make the final selection be from the teacher's perspective and to have communication to all parties involved with the student. Parent, teacher, student. All three must be notified by email, text, or, well, whatever contact methods there are, such as call, to let them know that their student could be dropped via the drop policy. It should also be changed from 10 days to 30 days, as that is the old drop policy that Cole used. And that's 30 seconds left on the clock, and I am done. Thank you.
All right, next up we have Virginia Abeshi. Sorry if I ruined your name.
It's Bigishi.
Bagishi, okay.
I have some audio for you. Okay, Natalie, that was you saying terrible letters. You were on a hot mic. It's nice to know you preview emails and decide what you want to read. You didn't say you were out of time or anything. You just said terrible letters. You are elected to represent all, not just a few you like. You owe the public an apology. Sadie and Robbie owe the public an apology for not standing up for the voters that didn't have their voice heard on December 6th. You violated the First Amendment for at least 2 people on December 6th. I will give you a chance to partially redeem yourselves today. Read those emails from December 6th. The 3 original board members set new standards and rules for call to the audience on December 6th. We've been complaining for months now how you only hold certain speakers to the 3-minute rule. You cut off those you don't care for. We keep track of it. You held nobody to the 3-minute rule on December 6th. You cannot enforce rules for some but not others. You abolished the 3-minute rule on December 6th. You also complained to us about applauding for speakers. You abolished that made-up rule on December 6th. You encouraged clapping on December 6th. Under the color of law, we are permitted to clap for speakers.
Next up, we have Melissa Conway.
My name is Melissa Conroy. So many items to talk about, from the censorship and corruption of CIA and FBI colluding with big tech on the Twitter files, which you, school board, are guilty of for not reading my last call to the audience letter. That was the epitome of censorship. I guess you guys couldn't handle that much truth. So since the Fauci files will be dropping on Twitter soon, I decided to make my topic the government's mismanagement of COVID. On December 7, 2022, Senator Ron Johnson led a roundtable discussion surrounding the vaccine. Distinguished doctors and scientists who specialize in COVID vaccine research and treatment joined him. Most of the people on the panel suffered loss of income, status, and jobs because they publicized truths about COVID that went against the narrative. COVID policy has been a crime against humanity. The senator started the roundtable discussion by reminding us that promising drugs for early treatment of COVID were made known in the spring of 2020, and yet our government agencies were advising against their use, despite long and assuring safety records. Some issues brought up in the roundtable were: one, in the VAERS data, vaccine injuries increased 20-fold in 2021, and vaccine-related deaths increased 50-fold. Two, the CDC created a system called vSafe for recording a large sample of vaccine safety data and then hid the data from the public. Three, the number of military deaths from the COVID vaccines is about 50% higher than the deaths from COVID itself. Four, Dr. Pierre Corey, who specialized in pulmonary medicine and critical care as a university professor, said that early treatment was best and that 30% of the world's population live in countries where HCQ or ivermectin is taken daily as preventatives, and these countries have had much lower rates of COVID mortality than the developed world, where these medicines were discouraged. Why were early treatments for COVID discouraged by the authorities? Number five, Dr. Paul Merrick has 300 peer-reviewed publications and is the second most published expert on critical care in the world. He estimated that hundreds of thousands of American deaths would have been avoided if HCQ and ivermectin had been adopted as early treatments beginning in 2020. Number six, Dr. Peter McCullough, a heart specialist with PhD in epidemiology, said the pathway to preventing any more harm is for COVID vaccines to be pulled off the market immediately. Funding needs to go to the vaccine injured because now the deaths are due to the vaccine, and the autopsy results show it. I'm sure the investigations happening now in the House of Representatives, along with the release of the Fauci files, will open eyes and show the world of the corruption. Do your part and stop pushing the vaccines and the boosters on our kids. Thank you.
All right, next up we have Jerry Schuster.
Good evening, members of the governing board, Dr. Trujillo, Councilor Ross, and staff. My speech will be very, very brief. I just simply wanted to welcome the two newest governing board members. Welcome aboard, board members Ekstrom and Romero. And congratulations on your new position, Dr. Ravi Shah.
And Stephanie Kirk, please.
Evening, my name is Stephanie Kirk. I want to congratulate Val to the board. Nothing like putting a little freedom on a school board. That way we don't have to force masks or maybe even insist that kids take a drug, right? When I was in 9th grade, I took a DARE class. And in fact, I had to take that DARE class. I identified oregano as weed. Boy, did I learn a lot. It taught me to stand up and say no to drugs, even if that same facility that taught me that is now taking away my breath with a mask, insisting that people who molest children and put together a drag show, the board will then attend it. That's disgusting, utterly disgusting. As if you can't find a different name. And I'll be here to remind you that you forced masks on children. You took their breath away. So let's look at where society's going right now, like all these bigwigs, these constituents that told you guys to do so, you know, to hurt little children with vaccines and masks when they had literally, really, they're not going to be affected by it, right? So what is everybody saying? When everyone is in a setting and is wearing a mask, the spread of the virus is even in close contact is very low. Dr. Jha stated to the congressional panel in September 2020, "You may know Dr. Jha as the White House COVID response coordinator, but what is he saying now?" He says there is no study in the world, and I know he's correct because that's all I do all day long, read medical studies, that shows that masks work well. Dr. Jha, the White House COVID-19 coordinator, said that a recent discussion got caught saying that in a recent discussion with Philadelphia Inquirer that less than 69% of Americans have completed their primary vaccine series as of November 24th, according to the CDC data, while only 12.1% of Americans have been immunized with the new booster. The CDC data adds, but Dr. Jha hopes that the figure will rise in the coming weeks as more people get the flu shots and potentially knock out both vaccines simultaneously. So is there medical studies on injecting a bunch of miscellaneous chemicals closely together while being on birth control, or I don't know, taking a blood pressure medication, an ACE inhibitor or a beta blocker while taking these injections? I don't know of any. I do know that my neighbor who took the injection, well, she can't talk or speak or what, she can't walk. And she was medic in Air Force, so who's going to protect us now, right? My grandma was addicted to the juice as well. Feisty woman, just like me. Guess what happened as soon as she started taking the juice? She started passing out. Passed out so many times that just recently, about 2 weeks ago, passed out. When she came due, she had a heart attack and she died. I wonder how many people have committed suicide because they had to wear a mask on your guys' watch.
Thank you. All right, that's the last comment here for call to the audience. Is there any governing board member who wishes to respond to any statements tonight, or wish to have staff asked to review a matter, or wish to ask that a matter be put on the future agenda? No more than 2 members may address any certain topic. Dr. Trujillo? And then Ms. Shaw. Actually, Ms. Shaw first, please, and then Dr. Trujillo.
Oh, thank you. First, I just want to thank everyone who came here tonight to speak at the call to the audience. First, I would like to address the McLarens. Thank you both for coming and talking about the issue at Cole once again. I'm so sorry that the issue remains, and I thought it would have been taken care of after the meeting, and I'm upset that it's come to this and so many folks have been dropped from there. So I'm going to ask administration to please follow up with this immediately, and I apologize. I'd also like to apologize to Ms. Vici for not doing more at our last meeting to make sure that the call to the audience is preserved. I did think it was a little odd what happened in December, and I do value the public's opinion, and moving forward, I will do better to protect the call to the audience and make sure that the rights of the public are honored. Thank you.
Dr. Torrio?
With regard to the coal issue, we're very limited to what we can respond to now. The board is going to probably need a legal briefing in terms of the ability to relax drop policies, as the state does give us funding based off of attendance on a per student basis. So I'll work with our legal counsel to make sure that the board gets the appropriate briefing so we can accurately identify a solution that'll work for all parties.
Great, thank you. Any other board members?
I do, Dr. Shaw. Along those lines, Dr. Trujillo, young man, I'm sorry, Dale, and Dale, thank you so much for speaking. You're such a wonderful speaker and really grab everybody's attention, so thank you. Can we make sure that students like Dale, those that have the 504s and the IEPs, that we're making sure that we're really following those? Because I feel like sometimes those students especially, we don't want any of our students to fall through the cracks, but those ones need a little bit more effort. Thank you.
All right, any other further comments? All right, we'll move us on to action items. Number 5, 5.1, authorization of superintendent, or in the superintendent's absence, the superintendent's designee to be the representative of TUSD number 1 for the purpose of executing documents pertaining to applications for federal funds which have been approved by the board. Dr. Trio?
Yes, on this Yes, President Shaw on this particular item seeks the authorization of the governing board to designate an identified designee in my absence to sign off on documents pursuant to accepting formal grants and federal funds that have been approved by this board. 99.99% of the time, the signature is me, but in my absence, this would allow a designee to do so.
All right. Any questions or comments from the board? Is there a motion?
I move the item.
Ms. LaRose moves the item. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Ekstrom seconds the motion. So we have a motion and a second. To any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. All right, ayes have it, 5-0. Move on to 5.2, authorization for governing board members, the superintendent, general counsel, chief operations officer, chief financial officer, chief human capital officer, and assistant superintendents to travel in the state of Arizona for district-related business and to receive reimbursement of per diem as allowed by law, with the exception that the superintendent and reference staff positions are reimbursed only for travel outside of Pima County with supporting documentation for business other than conferences or workshops. Dr. Trujillo.
Yes, President Shaw, it is exactly as worded in the recommended action for this governing board. This is for the reimbursement of travel expenses and registration fees for travel outside of Pima County for the named positions, as well as governing board members who from time to time will attend workshops in other parts of Arizona.
Any questions or discussion from the board?
Is there is there a limit to how much these staff can receive?
The limits are the different travel budgets that are available, and they're very lean for different departments to be able to engage in travel. We try to take advantage as much as possible of registration light or registration free opportunities, but the most popular destination for attending workshops is Phoenix, and that's where the bulk of the travel usually happens.
Is there a motion or any?
I'll move.
All right, Ms. Sadie Shah moves the item.
I'll second.
And Ms. Luna Rose seconds the item. Any other further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. All right, ayes unanimous, 5-0. We'll move on to 5.3, authorization for Tucson Unified School District General Counsel to appoint hearing officers for all statements of charges. Dr. Trujillo.
Yes, President Shaw, members of the governing board. Unfortunately, from time to time, when we have to go through the employee disciplinary process, part of those due process rights affords our employees the opportunity to go through a hearing. This particular item would give authorization to our general counsel, Mr. Robert Ross, to be the governing board's designee in the selection and the appointment of these hearing officers for such situations.
Mr. Ross.
Thank you, President Shaw. I would just add that this authorization also helps us expedite these rather than having to wait for a governing board meeting to occur for the board to vote on a hearing officer, and we can get the process moving more quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Ms. Shaw.
Thank you. Mr. Ross, what kind of training do the hearing officers go through, the newly appointed ones and the ones who've already been hearing officers?
All the hearing officers are appointed by the state. They are in the Department of Administration, the Department of the Arizona Department of Administration, so they're chosen by the state. The only time that we go outside of that list is if the district and the employee's attorney agree to one particular person. If that were to happen, I would come to the board. I would not pick someone who was outside of the list that the state has, unless I got board approval for that.
Okay, and a follow-up to that. So if they come from the state, essentially, are they familiar with our district policies, or?
They are the ones that we've dealt with are definitely familiar with the laws, and most of them are attorneys or have legal background and are familiar with policies and can read, for example, consensus agreements. Again, like Dr. Trujillo said, this is an exceedingly rare thing that happens, but with the hearing officers that we pick are very experienced in this. We've never had a rookie do one of these. They're one of the most important things that we have to do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Luna Rose?
Actually, no. We're good.
Okay.
I'm good, thank you.
Would you like the motion?
Yes, I would like to move. Thank you.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Luna Rose moves the item and Ms. Ekstrom seconds the item. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. And for those of you on board docs, please remember to vote on board docs as well. Move on to 5.4 on this exciting action item list here. Authorization for Tucson Unified School District General Counsel to schedule student disciplinary hearings for recommendations to expel and authorize use of hearing officers. Dr. Trujillo or Mr. Ross?
Yes, I'll go ahead and turn this one back over to Mr. Ross.
Thank you. So these are the student disciplinary matters, and anticipating a question, these folks are experienced administrators, so they're familiar with district policies. They also get training annually from the department, from not just the legal department, but also from the student services department, and occasionally we're able to get them training through the state, through the Arizona School Boards Association as well. These hearing officers, again, to kind of expedite the process for students, this item would permit me as general counsel to arrange for those hearing officers to hear. This is mainly for long-term suspensions. Expulsions are normally either myself or Associate General Counsel Michael Aronoff who hear the expulsion hearings. So these are for the long-term suspension hearings.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ross. Any questions or discussion?
I have
Ms.
a
LaRose.
question. Yeah, Mr. Ross, how many hearing officers do we normally have?
I believe Student Services has about a dozen.
Okay. I actually never really knew the number, but we would see them, and so, thank you.
Ms. Shaw?
Thank you. Do the hearing officers go through anti-bias training?
I don't know if they do as a matter of the Student Services Department training, but I know that's something that's been in discussion with Ms. Kanasha Brown to do that with the hearing officers.
Can we try to get that implemented? Yes. Do we have to move to get that implemented, or how can we be assured that our hearing officers will go through anti-bias training?
Well, I don't supervise them, but that would be something that I would advocate for as well.
Okay, we'll follow up with the superintendent.
I will say that that's going to be a budgetary issue, so it's inevitably going to have to come back in order to be able to make sure that we procure the funding and the funding source necessary for the anti-bias training, and that we build that into the actual job description for those that want to seek to serve as hearing officers. So there's a couple of procedural steps, but nothing that's insurmountable.
Well, thank you, Ms. Shaw, for bringing that up. I would definitely support something like that if it came to the governing board. Any other just comments or discussion before we get a motion? All right, I'll move the. Ms. Luna Rose moves the item. I'll second the item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, ayes 5-0. And last but not least, 5.5, authorization for provision of meals to personnel working to support governing board meetings. Dr. Trujillo?
Yes, historically, throughout my time here, 7 years, and then even for years and decades before that, food services has typically provided meals for governing board members and the superintendent. This item seeks to expand the amount of individuals that will receive the meals, and we've listed the additional personnel. Here we do have a technical support team that spends a lot of time before and after the meeting setting up the audio and the visual aspects of the meeting that enables the governing board to do the people's business in a maximum amount of transparency for those that are able to tune in, and then also to meet the technical needs, audio and visual wise, for presenters and those that are coming to present the governing board information. So we seek to expand the amount of individuals that would be receiving the meal, to continue with governing board members, of course, that are currently provided the meal by food services for meetings. This action would authorize a district to provide meals to designated district personnel required to be on duty during evening governing board meetings. Designated district personnel would be our legal counsel, board office staff, technical support specialist, multimedia producer, district video producer, and multimedia technician. The ground support team that you see here, running the board, taking care of our mics over here with the cameras. And then, of course, our governing board team, Ms. Pena and Ms. Hernandez. Our funding source, if those of you watching in the general public, you'll see the title of the funding source is rebate funds. The district does business with a number of vendors that do provide the district rebates for goods and services that we purchase. A good example would be Office Max. So the $2,000 is not money coming from the public. It's not money that is coming out of directly the M&O budget. We are using these rebate funds to be able to cover the $2,000 cost. Additionally, we're paying our own food services team to provide the meals. So we're actually paying our own people for the meal.
And so this $2,000 will cover all the personnel you mentioned, plus the governing board for the entire calendar year.
For the entire calendar year, and I want to turn it over to Yolanda. I know that you've been working with food services on, and then finance on the financials for this item. Would you like to add anything additionally?
I think everything that you said, Dr. Trujillo. So it is, we are purchasing the from food services. So it's either, right now we're doing salads, and I give everybody a menu, and they kind of choose their salads. And it's I think it's a total of 15 people, so like it's for the 5 board members and then all of us that are here tonight. So and it's the $2,000 roughly. We usually don't go over that budget, so.
Okay. Well, I'm ready to move the item.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. Luna Rose
I'll second.
and a motion, second from Ms. Ekstrom. A quick discussion, there was 2 shout outs. First of all, shout out to our food services department for someone who's been able to enjoy the meals for 2 years now. I get a healthy, nutritious, plant-based option twice or 3 times a month sometimes, and it's extremely delicious. So big shout out to our food service department for putting together the meals all these years. I definitely think they're great and really a testament to the amazing work our food service department does. And our second shout out to all the staff who are here every evening. Some of these meetings go very late into the evenings, and many of you spend a lot of hours before the meetings getting everything ready, and both on the logistics front, on the technical front, and so it's very appreciated, and I'm very much glad that we can support our staff with, if nothing else, just at least a meal while you're here so many hours with us.
I think
Ms.
Shaw.
Ms. Shaw.
Thank you. Geez, I thought everybody was getting a meal because there's so many to-go boxes in our fridge. So I apologize to everyone who hasn't been eating so far. I think this is a fabulous idea. I would like to add our school safety officers to this list, though, because everybody gets hungry and they're always here protecting us. And so if we can add the school safety team to this list.
I would fully support that, and we can certainly approve tonight and then maybe come back. I'd like to give Yolanda an opportunity. Any financial implication that would take us above 2,000, we can always come back and put it before the governing board with the addition of the school safety officers and team.
We have a motion and a second, and we have what I'm hearing now is an amendment to our motion, and I'll second that amendment to the motion.
Just brief discussion.
Brief discussion, please go ahead.
I just wanted to, again, thank all the staff, Yolanda, Vanessa, Kevin, Gene over here. Gene's our guy, kind of hides in the corner, but he's the man that kind of gets us going. Our school safety staff, Mary and Miguel, that are out in the other room, they really help us get these meetings going. So I just, I'm along with Ms. Shaw, I thought you guys were already getting fed too, so I'm happy that we can do this for you, and thank you so much for all your work for the district. We really do appreciate it.
All right, seeing no further discussion, our first vote is going to be on the amendment, which adds the school safety officers to the original motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, 5-0 passes for the amendments. And now we're going back to the original motion as amended to approve the recommendation in addition to the school safety officers. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. All right, motion passes 5-0. All right, that concludes our action items for tonight. And then before we go into future meeting dates and agenda items, I will take a quick point of personal privilege. I want us to get through the action tonight and just really thank everyone for your support on the governing board to serve as your president for this year. I was on the phone this morning as a family member, as a member of the community, as a parent, just to confirm registration for my own kids. I didn't see it on Parent View, and so I had a great conversation with one of our TUSD staff members as a parent. I don't think she knew that I was a governing board member. I didn't bring it up. It wasn't mentioned. We were just talking as a parent to a staff member. Right now I have a 5th grader in TUSD, and in a couple months I'll have 3 children. A 6th grader and 2 kindergartners in TUSD. Every decision that we make here on the dais affects my family. I'm truly proud to be a TUSD parent and be a member of our community here in the greatest district in our state. And really just proud to have the opportunity to serve as your board president this year. And I want to thank all of you for trusting in me this year's leadership, and I look forward to working with all of you to really work to continue improving our district for all of our kids and grandkids and family members and friends and community members and neighbors. There's a lot of work to do this year ahead. We have a lot of important decisions coming up and a lot of great work, and I look forward to working with all of you in our community and our teachers and staff and parents and everyone to really make a difference here for why we were elected. So thank you very much for the opportunity to serve. Anyone else want to say something as a point of privilege before we conclude the meeting?
Just 30 seconds,
Yes.
Michelle. Again, thank you so much for coming this evening and entrusting your children to our district and our wonderful staff and teachers. Our teachers are there every day working hard and doing what they need to do to make our kids that much more educated, better, and my daughter, she's a freshman and is really enjoying her high school experience. I was a little worried because she's a little shy, but where she is at Rincon she has really blossomed there. So I want to give a shout out to her teachers and the teachers that she had at both Sewell and Vale Middle School. They were we have a wonderful team here, and I'm really privileged and honored to be on the board, and I hope we can do right by the community.
All right, thank you. Dr. Trio.
Just a note for the public, upcoming meeting dates. We're very excited about the January 31st meeting. That's going to be the governing board's first leadership working session, where they will get an interactive overview and training of Robert's rules and the parameters of open meeting law. We have an exciting summary of our new strategic plan. We've engaged an outside facilitator to come in from ASBA and work with the group on strategies for effective governance for school board members. And then we have a professional development facilitator in the field of communication and conflict resolution who will come in and work with our governing board members, help them identify and leverage the strengths and opportunities of their leadership styles. So we will be very, very busy on January 31st. There will be no other agenda items on that meeting, so we can dedicate the entirety of the 31st meeting to the professional development and training of our governing board members.
Great, thank you, Dr. Trujillo. Any other, so this is a time for the governing board members to request any future agenda items or talk about any future agenda items. All right, see, Ms. Shaw?
I don't have anything to add. I just was wondering if Dr. Trujillo could give the public an opportunity to, or just let us know about Ms. Copeland's memorial or...
Absolutely. We are planning an in memoriam to kick off the January 24th governing board meeting. Part of that in memoriam, we're expecting to have more details on the community opportunity to say farewell to this wonderful community advocate. We should have more details at that time.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Thank you, Dr. Trujillo. All right, that concludes the meeting, and I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.